Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Romantic and Infi, taking place here on Concealed Hill. Romantic spawning as the red human player on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Infi spawning as the blue human player on the bottom left. Should be a great game. This game does come in highly recommended, so yeah, looking forward to it, and we'll see. Oh, I'm getting updates and messages constantly. Alright, let's go ahead and break things down here. Well, pretty standard building coming across from Infi. Altar of Kings, barracks, and a farm. Do like this additional countdown timer to help me know when things are being built. Actually, one of the better improvements that I've seen as of late coming in for WarCraft 3 Reforged. Didn't need new graphics, didn't need new voice acting or anything like that. Just really needed some quality of life improvements that will help me cast the game better, help be more informative as we're looking at an archmage going up against an archmage. Let's go ahead and get to that 2-minute mark in this game where the real action begins. We know what heroes are going to be placed down. Both sides, well, it looks like one side, both sides placing up an arcane tower as we are now getting up into a bit of creepy. Alright, Footman trying to retreat back here. Rocco now making its way down here. Meanwhile, Archmage going to also be doing a little bit of pressure and push onto the Forest Troll High Priest. I'm so used to the overlay, being able to see when heroes pop up, that took me a second to realize that overlay is still waiting to be updated in order to work well. And one of those situations where I wish that overlay was already up and running. Those APIs go in, and thank you for the community in advance for when that will be fixed. Manual of Health being left behind by Romantic. Nope, he's going to go back for it. 550 hit points, often the difference between, or 50 hit points can often be the difference between life and death for a hero, as the militia hold back that Footman there. Alright, meanwhile, this Archmage still going after more of these green creep camps as well. You're going to see this 4-3-3 creep camp get cleared up pretty quick. One thing to note though, the Water Elemental actually tanking a little bit more damage from that piercing damage now. Well, even though he's pretty sure would rather... Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't know what type of armor he would rather have. If you guys did not hear, there was a big patch, or a patch recently released. The big change though is that piercing damage now does 90% of its normal damage against heavy armor. So heavy armor actually effective against piercing, a way to look at it. It was kind of funny before. I'm heavily armored, so what does that mean? It means that I take I take full damage from everything except magic, for which I would actually take double. Alright, little bit of a deny there, taking down that unit, or no, I believe it was taken out by the turtle here. Romantic and to continue to come across a lot of footmen just swarming against each other right now. This Archmage does have a potion of greater healing, but I'm sure he would rather not use it if he can afford to, as we're looking at who's going to get the last hit there. There's that last hit. Infi still denying, or denied from level 3. However, it looks as though this Water Elemental may end up getting taken on. Archmage going to drop a second Water Elemental as well. Remember, 33 to 41 damage. That is rather high, as we're looking at that Water Elemental trying to retreat back again. Archmage still doing a little bit of fighting. Does have boots of speed. Should be able to get away easily. And more damage is still getting well racked and rallied up here. Level 1 Brilliance Aura Archmage. Is he going to buy? Yep, boots of speed as well. Be able to catch up. More damage coming across here. This Water Elemental trying to get away. More footmen still putting in pressure, as both heroes are, well, running off to the corners, perhaps to try and get a little bit of regeneration going. Tech to tier 2 has been started on both sides. Infi with about a 20-second advantage in terms of that tech. Footman going to dive in and perhaps take down a farm or two, as the militia quickly called to arms and now trying to back away. Alright, Footman looking to fall back here, but going to end up, well, almost getting surrounded by militia. Are we going to see a little bit more damage? That Footman down to 70, down to 50, could be down to trouble, and that is going to end up getting denied there. Alright, there was a... yeah, the colors on the denied don't quite seem right. All right, let's see if that fixes the colors on the denies. Yeah, it was a red footman, and then it had the blue exclamation mark, right? Hence, not quite the correct color for denying, as the Archmage going to pick up a... Well, is that a second Circlet of Nobility? Or was that a Gloves of Haste? Either way, Archmage with +4 to every single stat, that is rather impressive. That Archmage pretty much punching well above its normal weight class here, as the Footman, well, is he going to get aggroed and taken down? Most likely he will. All right, more Footmen trying to retreat back here. And this mirror match, well, both sides playing a very similar style of game. Both sides, same race. Both sides knows each other's tricks. And because of that, well, able to disrupt each other easily. All right, down to 89 hit points. Oh, Footman getting padded here. One or two more shots. One more shot is going to be needed. He's going to get it. Going to try and get it, and does get the kill. Loses a bit of mana for that effort, as we're looking at a farm about to get taken down. There goes Arcane Sanctum. Are we going to see repairs on another farm? This one farm here pretty exposed right now, and getting quite a bit of damage. And well, how is this all going to go down? More repairs getting underway here. There's actually a Footman. Yeah, I was going to say the melee range actually quite far. Arcane Tower, multiple farms being placed down by Romantic, as the Arcane Sanctums are also getting constructed as well. All right, Arcane Tower needs to try and perhaps hit some of those water elementals here. Who's going to be able to put in more pressure, as the Archmage finally shows back up, and now perhaps going to try and take down some of these Footmen. One Footman going to get taken down. We are looking at a couple more Footmen trying to retreat back again. There is one water elemental getting feedback. It is going to suffer quite a bit of damage, down to 70 hit points, down to 12. One more final shot there, as the Archmage of Romantic, was trying to squeeze through and may be able to do exactly that. Mountain King, however, shows up to the party. Are we going to see a Stormbolt? Yes, we do. Mountain King Stormbolt Romantic. Meanwhile, another Mountain King not too far behind, also showing up to the party as well. All right, there's going to be a little bit of damage. Are we seeing a Stormbolt? No, we do not. Archmage with Boots of Speed, able to get away easily. And this Archmage here, well, that additional, Manual of Strength we mentioned earlier, coupled with that +4 strength there, an extra 150 hit points, keeps this Archmage, from getting too low on overall hit points. All right, there's a little bit of aggro. They're going to try and pull back here. Infi's... Well, this is one of the strangest mirror matches, at both sides trying to min-max, trying to do the same exact thing, and both sides disrupting each other nicely. Priest going to come across here. Are we going to see some damage? Archmage, there's going to be the item. Who's going to pick it up? That is going to be a big question there, as both sides are fighting right now. Romantic's Mountain King trying to push back, pull back here. There's a Stormbolt onto this Archmage. Archmage down to 500 hit points after the heal, and that means he would have fallen. All right, Potion of Greater Healing doing quite a bit of work. Both sides fighting still through again. There goes one Footman, another Footman about to get taken down as well. There it goes. Mountain King could perhaps get a little bit of get a little bit more mana from that Archmage, getting another bullet in the chamber. The Militia now fall back. And yeah, this mirror match is textbook. Both sides playing at a very high level. Both sides knows what the other is trying to do. Both sides trying to disrupt what the other is doing, as this Ogre Lord, well, back up to nearly full hit points, as this 4-stroll High Priest was offering a lot of heals and also offered Inner Fire. Ogre Lord gonna fall at the hands of Romantic. Item pickup, a Medallion of Courage, Strength and Intelligence, just exactly what the Doctor ordered for that Mountain King, as the Mountain King now has, well, a bit more mana and a bit more hit points. All right, gonna see a little bit of fighting getting underway. Mountain King, well, it doesn't look, you wouldn't normally think the Mountain King has enough for a Stormbolt, but that's exactly what he has here, as the Priest getting, well, poked down by those water elementals. Militia now making their way over. A lot of healing coming through. There's a Stormbolt coming back across. Mountain King of Romantic trying to break his way free from this, well, paper bag of units. Finally able to dodge, as we see a couple of peasants are in this fight as well. There's some more healing coming across here. Are we going to see some more damage? Priest going to be able to finish off that. Well, there's a double level up. Archmage. Now, Mountain King, perhaps another Stormbolt ready to go. Perhaps trying to finish off some more units. There goes another Footman again. And the tide of this battle just ebbing and flowing so easily back and forth. Who's going to come out on top? Mountain King getting another Stormbolt there, but, well, he seems to be okay for now. Does have a Scroll of Town Portal just in case things go sideways, as the Priest should be able to heal. There's a Stormbolt and stopping that Mountain King temporarily, as that Mountain King is going to try to use a Goblin Zeppelin to find a little bit of additional hit points. There's a Stormbolt onto the Priest. The Priest could be in trouble. Is he going to get saved? He is not. The Goblin Zeppelin did not make its way over in time. Meanwhile, Mountain King still bashing his way through, dealing quite a bit of damage again. All right, level 4 on the Archmage versus level 3. That is going to be a big difference. And oh! Goblin Zeppelin escaping away at 24 hit points. One more attack from the Water Elemental would have shot it down, and perhaps also taken down everything inside as well. All right, Romantic needing to get this Goblin Zeppelin repaired. Perhaps a couple of peasants will get underneath there. We are looking at level 1 armor upgrades for the Footmen and the Spellbreakers. Archmage is at 4, Mountain King is at 2. Meanwhile, Archmage of Infi will be getting the level 4 here in just a moment, with the Mountain King very close to level 3. That's important to note. Red Drake also suffering quite a bit of damage. That magic damage from those priests actually dishing out quite a bit, as we see that level up now for that Archmage. Level 4, level 3, meaning level 2 Stormbolts and level 2 Brilliance Aura. Meanwhile, the Mountain King of Romantic still sitting at level 2 after all this time. He needs to get in a lot of creeping here. Archmage perhaps should be backing off. You do not need a 4.5 Archmage if it means that your Mountain King stays at level 3, but I think there is enough experience here for, well, for both, for the Mountain King to level up. Yep, barely enough experience. Alright, both sides going to their respective corners, trying to clear out difficult creep camps. And with that, we are going to be seeing the heroes really in charge of the next upcoming battles. Romantic purposely giving a lot of additional items to the Mountain King at 405 mana. That is quite that's quite the number of Stormbolts that can be shot out. Romantic, most likely going to be able to fire at least 6 Stormbolts when you factor in cooldown time and also that Brilliance Aura. All right, Sobi Mask. Oh, Sobi Mask could be given to that Mountain King as well, and that is going to be even more or better mana regeneration, as we're looking at the Arcane Vault about to get taken down. All right, Archmage, Mountain King, both of them running out across the battlefield. Arcane Vault has been taken down. Farm about to get destroyed, and this is going to open things up here. More Spellbreakers are getting trained. The Mountain King perhaps was hoping, well, we're going to see a Stormbolt. There's a Stormbolt, there's a Stormbolt, and who's going to get hit first? As we see, well, some easy damage taking on a Water Elemental, and wow, that Priest somehow stayed alive for so long. Archmage, is it going to go for level 3 Brilliance Aura? It does, so it is really going to fall on the shoulders of the Mountain King to use a lot of Stormbolts effectively. All right. Some of these priests, however, getting caught in traffic. There goes another multiple priests lost right there, as we do see Inner Fire. I believe that was stolen from the creeps, and just, well, going back and forth. All right, Mountain King, Stormbolt onto Romantics. Mountain King actually losing quite a bit of mana from those Spellbreakers. Mountain King unable to take down the Spellbreakers, who are upgraded 2-0 compared to 2-1 for Romantic. Now, these Spellbreakers doesn't care, does not respect the authority of that Mountain King. No Stormbolt from there at all, as we're looking at the expansion on the top left, giving level 4 to Infi's Mountain King. There goes another peasant again. Archmage trying to, well, clean things up. We can see Infi does have a full operational expansion here on the southern side as well, as we are looking at a forcing of the Scroll of Town Portal from Romantic to Infi. All right, little bit of additional experience needed. Mountain King, well, gonna creep out to this creep camp by himself. More priests need to get added. 53 over 56 supply compared to 65 over 74. Infi with the definite lead right now, but it is still anyone's game, as well. Concealed Hill has this center gold mine to fight over. All right, King of the Hill game here on Concealed Hill. Who can maintain that gold mine in the center portion of the map and turn it into an economic advantage as opposed to just feeding your opponent some experience. Spellbreakers making their way forward here. Mountain King. Well, it's only 285 mana. Are we going to see Storm Bolts onto any of the other units? Those priests are just simply too far in the back for that Mountain King to really do anything. There's a Storm Bolt onto that Mountain King there. And now this Mountain King going to try and back up here. This is going to be a Storm Bolting against a Priest game, or perhaps translate into one of those Storm Bolt versus Priest games that we often see. All right, low hit point Spellbreaker going to try and retreat back here. Mountain King taking quite a bit of damage. Takes a Storm Bolt, and then coupled with losing quite a bit of mana. That mana that the Mountain King has on Romantic has not translated into anything big yet here. As Infi's Mountain King now looking to back up again. All right, more damage. We're looking at, well, some Dispel Magic or low hit point. Water Elemental still dealing quite a bit of damage here. More heals at both sides. We need to see some Storm Bolts onto those priests, as the priests are the thing that will give you an actual advantage. All right, Mountain King going up against a Spellbreaker here. It looks as though that Spellbreaker is going to get taken down. There's a bash, level 5 now on the Archmage of Infi. Infi, is he going to drop level 3 Water Elementals? Not quite sure. No, goes for level 3 Bonus Aura as well, as both sides are still pressing up against each other. Infi, level 7-second Invul Potion there. Mountain King now trying to back away. Goblin Zeppelin picking up and dropping off units, and they need to get constantly healed up again and again. Lower hit point Spellbreakers in the back. More micro coming across as Romantic, well, is still just trying to get in some decent mining. There's a Stormbolt onto another Mountain King there. Mountain King losing quite a bit of mana, unable to get off a Stormbolt, so that was a key moment there as the Mountain King now tries to back up. Still has about 3 Stormbolts ready to go, and now trying to back away as the Spellbreakers don't want to give chase. All right, the army of Infi is significantly larger and should be able to engage in the win here, but Romantic is just making sure to constantly do this dance back and forth. All of the militia that were called over have now turned back into peasant form or turned into corpses on the ground, as we're looking at more healing getting underway still. All right, 2-1 upgrades here, and now Goblin Zeppelin to try and perhaps fight. We can see that some of those priests in the backline are exposed. Spellbreakers falling, more militia getting called over, and still Mountain King getting Storm Bolted and losing quite a bit of mana again. All right, down to 97 mana. Perhaps another Storm Bolt will be coming into play. Mountain King, there's a Goblin Zeppelin picking up and dropping back off again. Are we going to see a Storm Bolt trying to finish off some of those units? Spellbreakers, Mountain King in trouble, down to 410 hit points. Needs to back away. What is it trying to do? It's really just trying to get up to level 5 so we can get to level 3 Stormbolt. And once it has level 3 Stormbolt, should be able to start mowing down these priests pretty quickly. That should be the name of the game at this point. Find a priest, take it down, and then let your army heal your opponent even better. All right, Romantics, Mountain King just holding position right now. Not quite sure of, well, finally getting Stormbolted. He should be trying to engage here. Why isn't he? There, finally gets a Stormbolt off on the opposing Mountain King, and that's going to be a little bit of mana lost again. All right, Mountain King. That mana that I thought would be so important, Romantic has not really been able to find a way to finish off or pick off some of those backline priests. There's another Stormbolt onto the Mountain King of Infi. The Mountain King of Romantic trying to dive on in here. Invul Potion perhaps. No, Cloak of Shadows. Cloak of Shadows for the save. Romantic now using that Invul Potion, finally going after the Archmage. Archmage gets bashed again. Are we going to see another Stormbolt here? Are we going to see another Stormbolt? Waiting for the Stormbolt, and the Archmage falls. Level 6 now on the Archmage. Mountain King finally trying to dive away, gets into the Goblin Zeppelin at 99 hit points, continuing to elevator all of those lower hit point units. Mountain King here doesn't have enough for a Stormbolt. More peasants continuing to fight. Mountain King throws a Stormbolt off against the Mountain King again, and Infi may finally get enough for a Stormbolt here in just a moment, or is he going to get attacked by some Spellbreakers once more? All right, this Mountain King, precious cargo, just basically a sniper being dropped down, throw a Stormbolt and picked back up. Has plenty of mana. Not quite sure why he isn't doing exactly that, as we're still fighting under here. All right, mass teleport. Romantic gonna go ahead, teleport away, regroup. and make its way back over. All right, bunch of peasants making their way over. Mountain King, is it going to get the drop back down here? Priest really should be trying to heal, and Romantic seemingly outlasting his opponent here as the unit's trying to back up again. A lot of lower hit point units, though. Romantic has to be extremely careful. Are we going to see a Stormbolt go down anywhere? Just perhaps go down onto a Priest. No, going down onto the Mountain King again. And at this stage, without the Brilliance Aura, these Priests are low on mana. Maybe better to Stormbolt the Priest, as that takes, well, that does the full damage, as we see another Stormbolt go down. All right, more damage onto that Mountain King. Mountain King trying to retreat back. That Mountain King seemingly having mana for days. Back up to 300 mana again. Are we going to see another Stormbolt? There's a bash there. Unit's going to try and engage. There's another Stormbolt. Mountain King of Infi unable to get away, as one of the Spellbreakers purposely tried to block the path, but unable to throw the hammer again. Mountain King, does he have Boots of Speed? Both sides do have Boots of Speed. They are going to be able to retreat. There's finally Stormbolts against some of those other Priests as well. Mountain King then going after unit after unit, and we're going to see a number of Priests get felled here. Are we going to see another get shot down? Come on, going to go after a Priest. There goes another one. Another Priest. Another Priest is going to bite the dust. All of those Priests falling right there. Mountain King, oh, overstayed his welcome, down to 300 hit points, down to 200. However, the Mountain King of Infi did not have mana. A long, drawn-out battle there. However, the Archmage of Infi finally back out on the battlefield because he was taken down earlier. Look at all of the priests and look at how low that mana is. Meanwhile, look at the priest of Romantic, and they were also given time. Oh, there's that Stormbolt that we were expecting, and now Infi does have level 6 on that Mountain King. All right. This could turn into that game where we just constantly see Stormbolts onto Priest back and forth again and again. Mountain King perhaps going to try and Stormbolt, takes down the Water Elemental. Mountain King does have another bullet in the chamber, but no, loses it. Spellbreaker is able to feed back some of that mana again once more. Militia now being called over from the southern side. Infi bringing in the Militia as well, as we now see level 6 on this Mountain King. All right, is this Mountain King perhaps going to go into Avatar mode? Yes, he does. And now going to perhaps try and Stormbolt and take down some of these units. Plus 27 damage. Infi has 2/2 upgrades. Meanwhile, Romantic has 2/1 upgrades. And both sides are just trying to snipe down each other's units. Mountain King dealing more damage, finishing off Priest after Priest. Front line causing major problems. These Priests in the back line need to join in on the battle. Invul Potion on the back line. Mountain King, as the Spellbreaker still trying to retreat back away. 700 hit points. Are we still looking at more fighting here? Going perhaps after the Archmage. There's a bash onto that Archmage. Archmage does have Cloak of Shadows. Avatar still looking to fight here. Are we going to see a Stormbolt onto Infi's? No, he goes in there as we see a reveal. There's a Stormbolt, and it looks like the Archmage is going to get taken down again. He does end up falling. A beautiful reveal during that fight there, as both sides are trying to bash up against each other now. All right, Romantic, Scroll of Town Portal, trying to get away to save that Mountain King before it comes to an end, and they do get back home. This is going to expose Romantic's Expo. Romantic's Expo going to fall. There's not much gold mined left. Oh, mass teleport to get back there, but just as the Town Hall falls, and both sides are still fighting. All right, Mountain King back into his normal, still beefy, scary, well, not as scary mode, but still can be scary. Are we going to see some of these Priests get taken down? Some Spellbreakers, one Spellbreaker lost here. There's a bash, another Spellbreaker could get lost there, and now the Mountain King is just trying to go after targets again and again, seeing what it can finish off once it gets one of those bashes in. All right, there goes another there. Arcane Tower. Well, holding back those units. Another Peasant about to get taken down. Archmage nearly at level 7. Mountain King at 6.5. But the story is still mining here by Infi at the Southern Expo. 1 base versus 0 bases right now, as Romantic has has only a handful of workers and about 2.5 minutes of mining left. $63 over 86 supply. Mountain King leading the charge here. Is he going to buy another Invul Potion? What is he going to purchase? There's no item slots really. Either Archmage has plenty of item slots here, so it may come down to what items you still have. Mountain King doesn't have a full backpack. Meanwhile, where is that Archmage? Archmage still getting resurrected, about to pop on out. Archmage, only 3 items in the backpack, so that could be the story here, as the Archmage also does bring in a potion of greater healing. There's going to be a little bit of damage, perhaps trying to get some damage onto some of these peasants. Water Elemental making it straight for that back line position, as the Goblin Zeppelin micro could be coming into play still. 67 over 80 supply, both sides still fighting. Goblin Zeppelin purposely retreating back. And we're looking at, well, waiting for a fight. Mountain King could easily just Stormbolt a Militia to try and finish thing, or snipe one of those down. That could have given level 7 on the Archmage, or two Stormbolts onto Peasants would have given level 7 to the Archmage, and level 7 on the Archmage would have been level 3 Water Elementals, being that much more powerful. Alright, Spellbreaker, there's a bash there, both sides getting ready to fight, and, well, another marathon of a battle about to go through. Romantic goes into that Avatar mode, and there's level 7 on that Archmage now, and level 6 now on the Archmage of Infi. Both sides are, well, bringing in the Avatar mode into this battle, as Infi's Mountain King could be in a little bit of trouble. Infi's Mountain King, what's going to happen? Are we going to see him get completely surrounded? He is surrounded, but is still able to get in some Stormbolts and finish things off. Alright, Water Elemental, the stronger variety, not going to be able to hold up against that Avatar and the standing army of Infi. And Infi being forced to retreat back, perhaps lick his wounds a little, as he's down to 54 supply compared to 64. The long, drawn-out game. Fountain of Health, Avatar, Archmage, level 3 Water Elementals, not invisible. There's no slow in a human versus human mirror match like this. 825 versus 825, so more hit points on that Water Elemental as well. Looking at a bash onto that Spellbreaker, he's not able to escape. Mountain King trying to retreat back here. Spellbreaker's in that frontline spot. 2-1 upgrades versus 2. Winning out on the upgrade front here. Mountain King perhaps going to try and finish off a couple of these Militia. There goes a Water Elemental. There goes one Militia. But Militia are not going to really be able to turn the tide of this war. You need to be able to finish off some of these Spellbreakers here. Meanwhile, the Priest are purposely staying in that backline position. Perhaps they're farther, perhaps they're healing range. I believe there was a slight increase in healing range. And with that slight increase in healing range, maybe that's why it's more difficult for the human armies to be able to get in a Stormbolt and finish off a unit. Alright, Spellbreakers have absorbed quite a bit of damage. They need to get healed back up. They're going to pass each other here. This could potentially be a problem. Romantic perhaps was hoping to be able to go to visit the Fountain of Health, but not going to be able to do that. Mountain King could be in trouble as well. Nope, doesn't need to use the Invul Potion. Going to purposely back away, but he's now falling behind into a corner. We're going to see a mass teleport. Yes, we do, but a Stormbolt onto the Archmage, quickly changing that there. Alright, next best thing you can do, fight with your back to a Fountain of Health and be able to perhaps hold the line, as a couple of the Militia unable to join in. Is fighting with your back gonna be enough here? We're gonna be looking at a Stormbolt. Units trying to retreat back here. Priest are all in that backline position. Here we are. Here we go. Spellbreakers. Are they regenerating from the Fountain of Health? They are not. Alright, this is the best possible position for Romantic to fight his way through, but even then, the focus fire and the size of Infi's army may be too much for Romantic. Both sides still fighting. There's a mass teleport. They're going to teleport back to the other side. Why teleport to the other side there? Suddenly, your back is no longer in the right position, and now Infi's army can have it. Level 7 now on the Mountain King. The Priest able to back away. Goblin Zeppelin still picking up low hit point. Spellbreakers constantly trying to save units at every turn. There goes a Stormbolt. One auto attack from a Spellbreaker coupled with a Stormbolt is a dead unit, as we're looking at these happen again and again. I believe we've reached the tipping point. Romantic has played a great game so far, but maybe having some problems now, as he's going to perhaps try and go after some of these other these backline casters. No, he's going to go after the Archmage still. There's a Stormbolt. No Invul Potion used in time. We're going to see another bash there. Mountain King may try and get in another Stormbolt again. just to finish things off, are we going to see a little bit of damage? Mountain Kings, are we seeing a Stormbolt? No Stormbolt. There's the Stormbolt's animation, but a quick invul potion Duke or head fake, as there's that Stormbolt there. All right, Archmage does fall. And what a shift there. Goblin Zeppelin also able to save the Archmage, and Romantic may be able to pull this game back. Romantic has been up against the wall constantly, trying to find a way to hold on. Now, with the level 6 Archmage taken down and forcing a 90-second resurrection, these priests are going to be relatively low on hit points. Mountain King going to make its way back across. We're going to see a major heal here. We're looking at 46 supply compared to 66, but, 61. Archmage is getting resurrected, as the army is going to, get ready to push on through. All right, Spellbreaker is going to go ahead and engage. Oh, there's a lucky bash right there off on that Spellbreaker to open things up. Spellbreaker down to 72 hit points. There's a bash. That's going to get taken down. Stormbolt going to find another priest getting taken down. There's that Avatar, as we're going to fight another unit going to get taken out. So just trying to fight every which way. Mountain King not able to Stormbolt the other Mountain King since he is in that Avatar mode. A couple more lucky bashes here. Spellbreakers, are they going to get elevated out? There's that mass teleport in order to get away, trying to save any of those units, and they are able to save all the way back, going after the Altar of Kings. Altar of Kings quickly getting pressured down. Are we going to see a Tavern, or we may be forced to see a Tavern Hero resurrection if we want to get that Archmage back for Infi? All right. All right, Infi trying to escape away right there. Goblin Zeppelin making its way back off to the north. Great use of mass teleport, moving your army to take down critical things where your opponent has no defense. No Altar of Kings means an expensive resurrection. Expensive resurrection. There's Infi's Archmage. He's back out onto the battlefield. Mountain King gonna dive on in here and just perhaps clean up all of these peasants, try to neutralize that economic advantage. Archmage gonna perhaps try and fall back here. Are we gonna see a little bit more damage? There's a Stormbolt onto a priest. Priest gets taken down. And we're looking at Goblin Zeppelin picking up and dropping off units constantly, as the Water Elemental perhaps gonna try and finish off a handful of these peasants here. All right, gonna go into a little bit of a chase. Mountain King Archmage being forced to leave the rest of the army behind, as they are high priority targets. Priests are gonna get cleaned up here. A couple of low hit point priests getting taken down, but there's not enough room in the Goblin Zeppelin. All right, both sides still fighting. There goes another unit there. Goblin Zeppelin perhaps gonna drop off some units here. There is no more priest for Romantic. I don't believe, only a couple or one priest left here. Both sides fighting. There's a Stormbolt onto the Archmage again. They're going to go after that target. Mountain King gets Stormbolted. He could be in trouble, down to 300 hit points. He's going to try and, go into Avatar mode and fight his way through again. Going to find some more priests. He's going to take them down. There's a Stormbolt onto the Archmage. Archmage dukes it with an invul potion again. Mountain King going to find a priest that is was making its way in transit again, as the Mountain King gonna try to go after that Archmage. Meanwhile, I thought there was a little bit more water elemental action there. Mountain King looking to catch up to that Archmage. Archmage, at 500 hit points right now, but that's not very much. There's a Stormbolt. Mountain King gonna try and do a little bit of a dodge. There goes one priest. There's a mass teleport. Are we gonna see it in time? There's the bash. There is a bash. Level 8 on the Avatar. Level 8 on the Archmage. A bash from Romantic's Mountain King, stopping the mass teleport. Archmage now going to get surrounded here. There is going to be a mass teleport here. Is he going to be able to get away? Yes, it is able to get away and get back to the Fountain of Health. All right. A bunch of high hit point Spellbreakers here. Mountain King, are we going to be looking at some more Stormbolts onto that Mountain King that's hiding in the back there? We're going to be seeing a little bit of damage. Mountain King does have an invul potion. There's a Stormbolt going back the other way. And somehow, some way, it looks as though Infi gonna lose this game. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below. an amazing, amazing human versus human textbook. Almost one of those games that you want to study to see how to play human versus human better. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.